Hello friends, it is Tuesday, August 4th. It is our 70th day of making art together. Now, if you tuned in yesterday, you would have seen I was experimenting with different processes, and I would say yesterday was not the most successful process. For in the studio, if we do that Japanese marbling, I would love to have the right inks for that, because they sit then on the water, and then you can add to them and swirl them and change them, and then when you do print, it does print what's reflected in the water. So we're moving on today. We're going to try something else. We're going to try an experiment with milk, more dish soap, and I guess we weren't using dish soap yesterday. Dish soap. I've got Dawn dish soap here. I've got some 2% Quick Trip milk, and I've got some food coloring, and we've got a pan here. So we're going to experiment with what happens when we use milk as our base. And so I'm going to put the milk into our pan, and I'm also going to do some printing today. So I've got the milk here in the pan. I'm going to use it all. Should have only used a little bit of it, but I'm using it all. I put it all in there. I'm going to get out my food colors. I've got a bunch of different colors here. Of course, the normal food coloring choices that come in your food coloring boxes. I've got red, yellow, blue, and green. And of course, these are our primary colors. And we can make secondary colors by mixing. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use a dropper for my soap. I'm going to put my soap in a little container, and I am going to drop the soap into the milk. Now, this Dawn seems a little bit thin compared to normal, so maybe I should have shook it up. But okay, so I've got a little bit of just soap. I've got my food coloring. I've got my milk in the pan, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how experimenting with colors, experimenting with when I'm going to drop the soap into the pan, see what happens to the colors then, and how the soap and the milk mingle or don't, how that soap interacts with the fat of the milk. Okay, and then I'm going to print it. So I am going to, like yesterday, hold the camera above. I apologize, I'm a one-woman show here. I'm going to hold the camera here above the pan, use my right hand for the other things, and I'm going to do the best I can so that you can see what's happening as I experiment with this. Now, if you have food coloring, milk, a pan, and some dish soap, feel free to experiment as well, or when we're done with the program today. If not, this is of interest to you, you can try this out in the studio sometime when you come in. Okay, I'm going to move the camera, so excuse me for a moment. Okay, bring you on over here. There's the soap in our dish pan. I'm going to start with the first color I have here. I'm going to add some red and see what happens. Now, you can try all different kinds of things. Experimenting with the color, experimenting with the shape. Okay, you can see that the color is already starting to move around a bit. And that in itself, it interacts with the milk. It's diluted, so to speak, into that milk. Now I'm going to, before I add any other color, I'm going to add a little bit of dish soap. I never thought one day I would be doing videos and having the challenge of, oh, did you see that? That, my friends, was adding a little bit of soap. So the soap definitely responds to that, and it keeps those colors. There's some soap on the surface there. Okay, so now I'm going to add more color, more food coloring, and then I'll come back and I'll add some more soap. But we've got a lot of color over here. It wants to escape that. It wants to definitely escape the soap. Does not want to be anywhere near it. Oh, so there's just some fun things happening. Now, this might not be exciting to you, but when I think about playing with color and having it move on the surface, that's really exciting to me because anything is possible, and I'm not the one in control here. I'm really trusting the process to take over. When I let go of the idea of I've got to control this, then some really cool things can happen as I work here. So now I'm going to take my watercolor paper. I've got a small piece here. I'm going to lay it on the surface and see if I can get a print of this. I may not be able to, but it's kind of cool to me. So I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to end up with my fingers in the milk. I know it. Oh yeah, look at that. That is some rich, rich color today compared to the color we were getting yesterday with the marbling. Wow. Okay, so now I'm not really prepared for a second. I'm not prepared for a second print because I wasn't thinking this was not going to turn out so great, but it's turning out better than I hoped. So I do have a second piece here. I'm not able to rip it in half because I have one hand on this camera. I'm going to add a little more color to our work here. I'm going to add a little bit of soap so we can see what happens when we add some soap to the middle of this thing. It's not really interacting so much right now. I think that initial burst of soap really changed the consistency, the chemical combinations of our solution here. So now it doesn't spread like it did, and it's staying right in place. So I think that in itself is a really cool looking piece of art. You might not like the modern look of that, but it's pretty fun that I can put the color where I want it. It will stay right now. And thanks to the milk and the soap are helping it solidify. And when I know I'm going to print, so I'm going to print again. I'm going to take this bigger sheet of paper. I'm going to lay it down and I'm going to print it. I'm going to give it just a minute to do its magic here. Okay, I'm going to put the camera back right over here. Okay, so this was really cool to me because it allowed me to really play with color. I wish I would have separated the milk a bit. Like I said in the beginning, used half the milk so that then I could have dumped it out and done a whole new image here. And that experiment with what happens when I add that drop of soap to it. But that's okay because I think we ended up with some really cool color here. If I take this off of here, what I have, oh, I've got another cool print. And really cool looking milk in here. So it ended up being a really cool process. And now remember, this is all process oriented artwork, art therapy. It's really about the process. And for me, this is really fun and exciting and something different and something I don't have to have any control over, or something that I can dump down the sink and say, well, that was fun, or that didn't quite work out, and be okay with it. So now I'm just stirring it up with my fingers. I'm going to show you what I've ended up with here. Hope I never drop my phone right in my container. So you can see that when I stirred it, the colors kind of merged together, but there's still a lot of richness in those colors. Boy, there's so many colors in there working together. Okay, so I'm putting the camera back there. I'm going to say goodbye for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing this process today. I hope you'll experiment with art making too, whether it's something from your kitchen or just in your sketchbook. Experiment, see what the possibilities are, and let yourself be free and curious, and let yourself say, this doesn't have to be anything. This is just about play, and this is about fun, and see what comes of that, and see how much better we feel. I know that when I started this video today, I was feeling like, I'm not really feeling like doing art today, and yet this was a really great process. Now I'm excited, like, wow, what more can I do? How much more fun can I have in art making, and how much more can I experiment with? Okay, have a fantastic day. I will see you back here tomorrow. Happy art making.